Okay, in this video I wanted to show you some techniques to use with your graphing calculator for those of you that have one or have access to one. The first thing I want to do, of course, is to show you how to enter the data into your list. So you would press the Stat key, the Edit key. If you have data in your list already, you would go up to the L1 and press the clear key and enter, and that would erase any data that you may already have there. To enter your data, of course, you would type in the data. So I'm typing 5.4, 1.1, 0.42, 0.73, 0.48, and 1.1. Now I have all my data typed into my list, and I want to get out of that screen. So I do second and mode key, which is to do quit. And what I want to do is to arrange my data in order from least to the smallest. So I'm going to press the Stat key again, and I'm going to select choice number 2, which is the sort. So I press the sort, and I have to tell it what to sort. Well, I'm going to select L1, so I do second and L1, which is the number 1 key here, and then press enter. And I don't physically see anything happen on my screen, but now if I do Stat and edit again, when I go back to my list, you'll see my list is in order from the smallest item to the largest. Now the reason I would want to do that is because I would want to be able to look at to find the mode. Your calculator will not find mode for you automatically, but if I put them in order, it would help me figure out if I have data items that repeat so that I can figure out modes. So that's a good way to do that. It also could help you figure out where the median is. But one good feature your calculator has is it will help you find the median. So let me show you how to do that. So let's get out of this screen. So that's second and mode to get out of this screen. And we're going to do second and the Stat key, which gets us to this. We're going to go over to the Math key, and you'll see some choices there. It says mean and median. So I'm going to go down to the mean first and press enter. Again, I have to tell the calculator where to go to calculate the mean. So I'm going to do second and L1 because I want to calculate the mean out of all the data in L1. So I press enter, and it gives me the mean from that entire set of data. Now the rounding I would have to do myself. So if I want to round to the hundredths place value, 1.54 would be what I would round to for that set of data. Now, if I want to do the median, I would do second and Stat again. So I get back to that screen. I would go over to the Math selection, and then I would go down to choice 4, which is the median. And then I would select second and L1. That's second and the 1 key, and press enter, and that would give me the median of that group of data. So if I want to do Stat and edit again, I could kind of see that the median would be between 0.73 and 1.1, and I would have to calculate that, and you should come out to find that particular value. So that's just some techniques for how to find mean and median by putting your data in a list and to help you calculate it that way. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to show you how to calculate in a group distribution. So if I had my data in L1 and I had the frequencies in L2, so let's say the first item occurred twice, and the second item occurred 5 times, and the third item occurred 6 times, the next item only occurred twice, the next item occurred 5 times, and the last item occurred 3 times. Then I have the frequencies in that particular column. Now we know to calculate the mean that we have to do the value times the frequency. So I'm going to go all the way up here on the top of L3, and I'm going to give it a formula. So I'm going to calculate L1 times L2. So I do second and L1, and then I'm going to do times second and L2. So I have my formula put in and press enter, and it calculates the L1 value times the frequency in L2, and it automatically does that for me and puts the answer in L3. Now I'm going to get out of this screen and do second and quit, and I want to get the sum of L2 for the frequency and the sum of L3, which is where I've multiplied them together. So I'm going to do second and stat. I'm going to go over to that math key, and you'll see there choice 5, which is the sum. And I'm going to do the sum of L2, and then I'm going to do second and stat and go over to math again and do that sum again, but this time I'm going to do L3. And so I have those two values. So I'm going to do 31.52 divided by the frequency 23, and that gives me excuse me, the mean of all that data. So that's how I can do a frequency distribution using my calculator. So that is some more helpful information. Now, if I wanted to do a box and whisker plot with my calculator, actually, before we even do that, let's go back to our list and edit, and let's get L3 cleared out. So I'm going to press clear and go over to L2 and clear that data out, and then back out. And I want to give you another calculation that can be done. So we're going to put in some new data. So let's go to edit on L1 and clear that data out. And let's do that last problem that we were doing with the box and whisker plot, where we were putting in the interest rates. So let's put those interest rates in. So we had 6.5, we had 9.9, we had 12, we had 13, we had 13.3, we had 13.9, we had 14.3, we had 14.4, 14.4 again, and 14.5. All right, let's back out of that screen, and let's just clear this particular screen off, and we can do another calculation where we do stat, and we go over to calc, and we're going to do one variable stat. So we press enter, and it says list. My data is in L1, so I'm going to press enter. The frequency list, it's not a frequency distribution, so I don't have to tell it anything about where it's at. So I just hit enter and calculate, and it gives me the first value there is the mean. And if I arrow on down, it tells me I have 10 items in my list. The minimum value is 6.5. The first quartile is 12. The median is 13.6. Third quartile, and the maximum. So all the information is there at the bottom. If I arrow down, I can get that information. Now, the last couple of things I want to show you is the box and whisker plot. So we need to go to our what we call the stat plot. So we're going to do second and the y equals key to get to the stat plot. So we're going to select number 1, and we want to be sure the own is selected. So be sure the plot 1 is own, and then we arrow down and we want to go all the way through these plots and go to that one, the next to the last one, and press enter. And we're going to have our list in L1, and we can hit the graph, and it may or may not look like this. I've been practicing, so mine's information is kind of there, but your information may not be there. So what you need to do is zoom and go down to zoom stat, and so it's going to match your screen to what your data is. And then if you hit your trace key, you'll see it starts at the median, 13.6. If you went right, it gives you your third quartile. If you go left, it gives you your first quartile, and it goes all the way down to your min value. And then if you went all the way up, it would go to your max value. So it gives you your box and whisker plot. So that's one way to do your box and whisker with your calculator. So now let's go to stat plot again, and again plot 1 is own, and this time though we're going to select the fourth choice. So we're going to go down and select this graph, and this is the modified box and whisker plot, and so we're going to graph it, and you'll see it's a little bit different, and you can see with the data point out there to one side that that is the outlier for that particular data, and the whisker is not quite as long. Again, if you used your trace key, it would give you that bottom value and then out to the outlier, the 6.5. And it doesn't really show you your fences, but it does give you your quartiles and things like that. But that's your modified box and whisker plot. So again, this is just some quick information about how to use your calculator to assist you to do some things that we've been going over with the measures of the center.